Hello, I'm Lelda Smits for the Finance News Network, and joining me from Redpoint Investment Management to discuss its Global Infrastructure Fund is Head of Portfolio Management, Ganesh Suntharam, and Senior Portfolio Manager, Alex Stephen. Ganesh, Alex, welcome to FNN.
Thank you for having us, Lelda.
Good to be here.
Firstly, Ganesh, Redpoint's Global Infrastructure Fund gives investors the opportunity to access global infrastructure. Why do you believe this asset class is appealing in Australia's low-rate environment?
So the trend you're seeing in Australia with reducing interest rates has been a global phenomenon within developed markets for a number of years now. You've seen that trend continue across Europe, America and a number of other countries. The complication for retail investors in that type of environment is putting your cash or savings into a term deposit is no longer appealing. So the question for retail investors is, where can I actually get my yield from? And when you look across the Australian landscape, there has been a large focus on yield from banks. But from our point of view, we would say that a global listed infrastructure fund, but focused on good quality assets, would be able to deliver appealing levels of yield and is much more diversified than traditional products or term deposits.
Okay, and Ganesh, the fund aims to be globally diversified for risk reasons. Why is this an important strategy?
So a key differentiator for our strategy is the fact that we're quite broad in our investments. We own a number of assets that span across the world, including gas pipelines in Canada, railroads in Japan, and water assets across Europe. So from a retail investor's perspective, that fund is actually quite well diversified, and with a single investment you're making an investment into 100-odd companies spanned across the world and diversified in terms of yield.
Okay, and Ganesh, can you explain how you execute this strategy?
In terms of execution, we look to quality comes first for us. So we have a strong focus on quality, how much cash flow is the company generating, how much balance sheet debt does the company carry, and does the company have good sustainable practices. So the 100 investments that I mentioned to you before are made up of companies which have all of those types of characteristics, and that's what allows us to capture the return characteristics that we're after.
Thank you, Ganesh. And Alex, what conditions does the fund usually perform the best in, and how has it performed so far this year?
The fund has performed very well in a rising market. So after the last 12 months, it's up 16.8%. And over the 3 years, it's actually up 19.2% on an annualised basis. So it does very well in rising markets. But we also believe the fund is going to perform well in falling markets as well. It's a diversified product, as Ganesh has mentioned, and it's a defensive asset class within equities. So it should provide a stable yield stream as markets are falling as well.
And could you highlight one of your positions and explain why it is a compelling investment?
Sure. GDF Suez is a large multi-utility company based in France. It was combined between the merger of Gaz de France and Suez Environment, which came together in the mid-2000s, so it's been roughly 7 or 8 years now that it's been a combined entity. It's across all utility areas in Europe. It has gas, electricity, waste, and it's a multi-utility network. So we add it into the portfolio as a diversifier across European assets, and it's a very strong performer.
Finally, Alex, what assets are currently providing the most opportunities for the fund?
Some recent acquisitions for us have been within the airports space across the globe actually, and also within the communications satellites areas. So we've bought airports in New Zealand, Auckland International Airport, in Paris, in Zurich, and in the satellite space we've bought Eutelsat, which is a French satellite company. So we're diversifying our exposure across those areas and really looking to pick up the characteristics that Ganesh has mentioned from the return profile of these companies.
Ganesh, Alex, thank you for the update from Redpoint Investment Management.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks, Lelda.